everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Cow. Today it is project making time with those little squares. This bag measures 8.5 inches across and 8.5 inches high and was made with just 4 little 6-inch squares. Yes, just 4 little 6-inch squares. They are corner to corner squares. They are the diagonal corner to corner. If I turn it over here, and if you can see, this is this one square, and so it's a half and half corner to corner square, half grey and half this gorgeous deep teal colour. I know it looks quite dark on screen, but it's this gorgeous dark teal colour. And it is just 4 6-inch corner to corner squares. That is all. And then it's just a single crochet and then double crochet strap, single crochet, double crochet, back down to single crochet, and a button. That is it. You can make bigger, and I will explain all of that in just a moment or two, and I'll explain about different types of squares that you can use. But this is what we are making today, a gorgeous granny bag. Okay, so the first thing is you need to select the squares you're going to use. Now, some things to bear in mind are that you will need to fold your squares in triangles. So they will be folded in triangles like so, from corner to corner. So that's okay for something like that. Something like this is still not too bad. Okay, this is the folding lotus flower. So that's not too bad. Okay, then you get one of these. Okay, the flower is popping up a bit, but you know. But then if you look to something like this, when we did the turkey for Thanksgiving Day, folding that in half diagonally kind of distorts it a bit. It's a bit odd. Which way round are you going to put it? Okay, so think about the fact that it's going to be folded in half. Some of them might not be as practical, so this one wasn't quite so practical for folding in half like that. And the other thing to bear in mind is what you are going to use your bag for. If it's going to be kind of, you know, a sort of purse, handbag type thing, and you're likely to put small things like lip balm, keys, pens, you know, that kind of thing, then these kind of squares with big holes won't work so well. This was Siege's heart square. So these big holes are not going to be very practical for you. You can see a lip balm falling straight through that hole. And equally, this one has some biggish holes here. Things could fall through there. If you're just going to make a larger size bag and it's going to hold maybe, you know, a few books to take back to the library or something, then, you know, these more open squares would be perfect. It doesn't matter, you're not going to have small things fall through there. So just think about what you're going to use it for, and about whether the square will fold in half diagonally nicely. Okay, so that's the 2 things to bear in mind there. So these are all approximately 6 inches, give or take a little. So because we're folding on a diagonal, it makes it 8.5 inches. So you could use just 4 of these squares and you will have a nice little bag of 8.5 inches. Okay, so this is the basic layout for your bag, and this is 8.5 inches across, 8.5 inches tall. Okay, and then you have the option of having it as an open bag like so, in this shape here, or you have the option to add a 4th square at the top like so to make a closure. So this will form the opening flap. Okay, so a square bag with an opening flap, or a bag in this kind of V shape. Okay, so you can just use 3 or 4 6-inch squares and have an 8.5 inch bag, or you can sew 4 squares together to make a bigger square. So you can use 4 of these, sew them or join them in whichever way you prefer to make a bigger square, and then this bigger square would then be folded in half diagonally. Now I haven't got 4 joined together to show you, but it would be folded in half diagonally. So let me try and fold that in half without sewing it. Okay, so this is roughly what it would look like when it's all sewn and folded. It would fold across the middle of 2, and then you'd have 2 that would be completely flat. So this would be a good one if you had a feature square such as the tulips or the turkey. You could kind of pop it on there. Okay, so you could make larger squares of 2 by 2, like so. Make a larger square, and you'd need to make 4 of those, or 3 or 4 of those, depending on which shape you wanted your bag to be. So you'd need 4, at least 3 lots of that to make the shape. Or you could do the bigger square. You could literally go as big as you like. You could do 9 by 9, sorry, 3 by 3. So 3 squares wide by 3 squares wide. And this would put, so this 9 by 9, I don't know if you can see it all on camera, this, sorry, 3 by 3 into a 9 would give you a bag, a nice big kind of beach bag, which would be 25.5 inches across. So the bottom and the sides would be 25.5 inches. Okay, if you did the 2 by 2 to make 4 squares, that would give you a bag that's 17 inches. Okay, so your bag will be 8.5 inches, 17 inches, or 25.5 inches. Okay, so basically you need at least 3 squares, 4 squares if you want a closure. So basic bag, let me just show you this one more time because I feel that I might have confused you a little. So basic bag is with 3 squares like so, and then we will make a strap. Okay, if you want to make a flap to close it, you'll need a 4th one to go on top. Basically we're making a bit of an envelope shape. Okay, so 3 or 4 squares, and then we will begin. Okay, now I'm going to use these diagonal C to C squares today. I'm going to start by using just 3 if you want your bag to be this shape, and then I'll show you how to add the 4th one. So what I'm going to do is take the same colour yarn that I've used on the bag. You could use a coordinating yarn. I could have used A if I preferred, but I'm just going to use this same teal colour. And then what I'm going to do is take these first 2 squares, and I'm going to sew using single crochet. I'm going to crochet down this side together with this side. So put the wrong sides together, and then join your yarn in the top corner. Now if you have a square with actual stitches, like, grab one of these. If you have one of these squares with the actual stitches, then you will go in and out of all the stitches along. If you look at Unit 2 playlist, there are 4 joining methods we've shown you on there so far, so you could choose to do one of those instead. But you need to go in and out of the stitches. I'm going to do single crochet because it's quite nice and simple, and it gives a nice little texture. So I'm just going to join my yarn into here with a slip stitch, and because this is corner to corner, I'm just going to kind of go in sort of every other stitch or the side of the stitch to work out where I need to go, and just kind of do it by eye really. So pop Make sure I've got this the right way around. If you're not sure, just pop it back together again, and then okay, so these two sides. So I'm going to go into the back one, pull through, and just slip stitch those two together for now. And then I'm going to go back in and do a single crochet. Okay, and then I'm going to work my way along doing single crochets, not worrying about whether it's an actual stitch on the end or whether it's the end of a row. I'm just going in at intervals and doing a single crochet. So just work this single crochet all the way down the side. Don't leave the gaps too big. You want your bag to be secure, and the bigger your bag is, the more secure you'll need to make it, because the bigger your bag is, the more things you are likely to put into it, so the more sturdy and secure it needs to be. So you can probably see there my single crochet is just starting to work up along here. Okay, so just continue along, and I think it's going to be a bit boring for you to watch me doing this whole side. So I'm going to do this side, and then I'm going to come back to you and show you what's next. Okay, so when you've sewn, when you've single crocheted all the way along here, or done slip stitches or whip stitch, whichever you prefer, once you've gone along there, because of how this is going to be folded, it's going to be like so. What you want to do is sew this back part together, so you're just going to continue around and along the other side. Okay, so you're going to have two sides sewn together, leaving these two sides open. Okay, so just continue around the corner and along. In your corner, you can either do a chain to take you around, or you can do 3 single crochets to take you around. Okay, you just continue around this second side, and then we'll go on to the other square. Okay, so I have my 2 squares sewn along 2 sides. Okay, so I've just done these 2 sides, actually this way, so 2 sides sewn. I keep saying sewn, single crocheted, and then these will open out like so. Okay, I'll just fold that back into a triangle, and they will open out like so. So you've got your side and your bottom of the bag now. Okay, side and bottom, and then this is what it will look like on the back. Your side and bottom. Okay, so now you need to attach the third and possibly final square. So you want to take this side here, so this is the bottom piece. If you look at this, you've got your side and bottom. You want to take this side piece and pop this piece and this piece together with the wrong sides together, the right sides facing outwards, and then you are going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to turn it around this way, and I'm going to start sewing from the middle, or crocheting from the middle down to the end. So that seam, and then I'm going to continue around and single crochet along this piece here and attach it as far as this corner here. Okay, so just the same but on the opposite side, 2 sides. Okay, so now I've sewn up those 2 sides, so now it's just to open it out and make it into a square shape. It looks a bit like we're making a pyramid. There we go, we can make like a beanbag pyramid shape. But we're not, we're making a bag, so you just need to flatten it out. And there is your basic bag shape. If I turn it over to grey, you'll be able to see it much easier. Let's pop those ends up there. So there is your basic bag shape. Quite easy, huh? Quite easy. So now, if this is how you want it to be and you don't want to have a closing flap, this would be it. It would just be time to make the strap, the handle. Okay, this is what you would have, but I'm going to add the flap, which I'm still deciding, do I have the whole thing in one colour or do I flip it and have it like that? I might mix it up and have it like that, although people might think I've gone wrong, so I might just do it as a completely reversible bag. So you need to not sew the front part, okay? You only want to sew the back half of your square. If you sew the whole thing, you will just have a nice padded square. So you're just going to sew, if I turn this over, I'm going to sew down these two sides here. Okay, so I'm just going to start here and hold them again, wrong sides together, right sides facing out, and I'm going to sew down there, and then I'm going to sew up here. Okay, and that will be my flap attached, so just sew it along those two sides. Okay, if you are waiting to make the strap or handle, then just hold on a moment, and when I come back after showing how this is made, we'll be moving on to making the strap. Okay, so I've sewn that back piece of the closing flap, and you can see how it is looking quite envelope-like now. Turn it over to the front. This is the front of my bag. Looking rather cool. So this flap will just close over like so. Okay, there we go. So all that's left now is to do a handle or strap, depending on how long it is as to what it's called. A strap would be a long one and a handle would be a small one. So you can do that in any way you like. There are lots of different options as to how you might want to do that. So you could do, for a small bag like this, you could do a row or two of single crochet and then attach that at the sides and just do a thin, like 2 rows of single crochet. If you've made a bigger bag, so you've used more than one square to make a square up, so you've done like 4 squares together to make a square, you could use double crochet to make your rows. You could make some wider band, or you could make a wide band of single crochet. You could make maybe a row of 10 single crochet and then keep going back and forth until you have a nice long strap or short strap, whichever you prefer. Or you could do an I-cord, or you could use something already made. You could look in craft shops, Amazon, eBay. There are lots of ready-made bag handles and like shoulder straps that you can buy that you can sew on and attach. Lots of different ones, fabric, wooden, all sorts of handles. Or if you're into recycling and repurposing items, you could maybe use a belt, or you could use something like a scarf. That would work well. Again, you can just sew it to the sides. You can sew it either on the inside part or on the outside, depending where it looks best and whether you have a flap or not. So you could use whatever you like for handle. You can just find something and reuse that as the handle, like I said, a scarf or a belt, or you could make one. Okay, I mentioned the I chord. Now, I've just been having a bit of a practice, and sadly to say, I didn't do very well with it. And the I chord is basically like a sort of tube of crochet, and it makes a really nice strap, or if you're making small things, amigurumi, it makes great sort of like arms and legs for making dolls and things. I'm going to persevere with that, and I'm going to make an I chord one day, but for now you will just have to do a search for how to do an I chord, and if you can master it, then well done you. Instead, I'm going to make a strap using single crochet. So I've left a nice long tail for sewing and attaching to my bag. I'm going to chain 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so I'm going to chain 8, and then I'm going to do a single crochet into the the second chain from the hook, and then I'm going to do 1 in each chain along, so I'll have 7 single crochets, and that will be wide enough for my little bag. So 7 single crochets just for this little bag. Like I said, you can make your strap as long, as short, as wide, or as narrow as you like. Use your creativity and let it flow. So to make a strap like this, I'm just going to do that chain of 8 and then 7 single crochets, chain 1 and turn, and then single crochet back along into each stitch. Okay, nice and simple. I might change it up a bit and do some half double crochets for some of the way, just to make it work up a little quicker. And just remember that depending on yarn type, it may stretch. So I'm using acrylic, and it does stretch quite a lot, so bear that in mind that your strap might stretch a bit. Okay, so I'm just going to work this up until it's long enough that I think, and then I will be back with you. Okay, so I've finished my strap. I've made a sort of medium length strap here. So I started with single crochets, and then just to make it a bit speedier, I did some double crochets. But remember, I said it will stretch, and double crochets, they will stretch a lot. If you look at that, they're stretching quite a lot, whereas single crochet isn't stretching quite as much. But I did those double crochets, and then I did some single crochets at the other end, about the same length. So I know that when I wear this, the strap will stretch. Okay, so just be prepared for that, and don't make it too long that it will then stretch and be longer than you need. Okay, but I'm just going to pop this aside for a moment because I did skip a step in the pattern, and it's actually easier to do this step first, and that is to do the closure of your bag. Now, whether you have a flap to close or whether you have it in this shape here, maybe this shape here, you need to take something like a button and secure it at this center point here where these 3 triangles meet. Okay, you're just going to sew the button on there. There's no particular right or wrong way to sew a button, just make sure it's secure. So I'm going to sew that button on there, and then I'll get back to you and we'll do the part on the other side. Okay, so there we go, there's my button sewn on there to the front, like so. Okay, now depending on the design of your square, you may have a ready-made buttonhole, and if you look here, I have gaps in this C2C as C2C goes, so I can just pull this over and pop it over the button like so, and that would close my bag quite adequately if that's how I wanted to do it, which I think works quite well. Depending on whether you have a closure flap like so, if you do, you can, but you don't have one of these sort of ready-made buttonholes, or you don't want it to get distorted, then what you can do is on this point you can use your hook and some yarn and just go into there, and you can make a few chains and then slip stitch back into the other side, and then use that loop to go around your button. Use that as a closing loop. If you don't have the closure flap and you have your bag in this pointy shape, then you can go to your back point, which will be this point here. So the back to where you did the button on the front, and then it will be this back point here, just here. And what you'll do is make that loop there instead. So you'll attach to one side, make a few loops, few chains, sorry, and then slip stitch onto this side, and just make a small chain loop that will fit around your button, so that you can just pop that loop over. And although you'll have all this bit open, it will just kind of secure it a little bit, okay? And likewise with this one. So I now have to decide whether I'm going to use that loop, the natural loop of the C to C pattern, or whether I want to make a chain loop. I might leave it like that actually, quite like that, very envelope-like. Okay, so all that's left now is to sew in some ends and attach the strap. So I'm going to attach the strap, and then I can do all the ends at the same time. For the strap, you've got this nice long tail that you saved on each end. Now you have a choice as to whether you sew on the outside and make a feature of it, so you can sew it sort of part front, part back. Sew it here and make a feature of it just there. Okay, or you can sew it to the inside like so, and then have it sort of that inside part hidden, and then it will come like so. Let me just fiddle this around so you can have it inside like so. Okay, so the choice is yours whether you want to have it on the outside or the inside. Okay, just make sure that when you sew it that you check that it is straight. Okay, just check that it is straight. You don't want it to have a big twist in it and then be annoyed for every time you use the bag. Okay, so make sure it's nice and straight. And then the way that you want to sew it to make it secure is, if you've got a flat piece like this, you want to do it in an X. Okay, so you want to go in an X shape, and then if possible to then go around in a square. You've probably seen that on other bags before as well, and it just makes it really secure that however it gets pulled, it won't undo very easily. It'll make it nice and strong. So an X and then a square. Okay, so like I said, on the outside or on the inside, wherever you prefer, attach those just with some normal sewing, and use the same yarn, and just with a nice chunky needle sew that on, and there you go. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll come and show you my finished result. So there we go. I've sewn the handles strapped onto sort of the side back of the bag, and you really can't see it on there, but I have sewn in a square and then I've sewn across, and I've probably done it twice on each side. If I'd have used a coordinating yarn, it would have shown more, and that could have been a nice feature, but I decided not to. So there's my little strap, and there is my bag completed. I've sewn in all the ends and it is finished. So I have my very own little ready-made buttonhole from that C to C square, or you may have made a little loop, or you may have it in this shape and have a little loop on the back. So however you have made your bag, or however you are going to make your bag after watching this, I hope I've inspired you to have a go at making something different with your squares, and how different this would look in the variety of squares that we've had throughout last year in the cowl, and all these different granny squares. This is just the basic corner to corner square done in a diagonal 2-colour. But just imagine if you were using some of these different kind of squares on there, how amazing this would look. It would be very, very cool. So I hope that this has inspired you to have a go at making something a bit different today and or this week, and I can't wait to see how you have made your bag. So please, if you make a bag, even if you're not a part of our Facebook group at the moment, please come and join our Facebook group, Beyond the Cowl, and upload a photo and show me. I can't wait to see what you've done. So please come and upload your photos and show me your wonderful designs. So if you have liked this and it's been helpful, then please give us a thumbs up. As always, it's much appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already as well. And until next time, just keep hooking and don't let your tea get cold.